Namaste and greetings. I, Dipangshi, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, Prabhav एवं नीति अनुसंधान संस्थान नई Delhi, extend my warmest welcome to you all to IMPRI Web Policy Learning. Today marks the inaugural day of DFPGYF Diplomacy, Foreign Policy and Geopolitics Youth Fellowship, an online international winter and spring school program, a three-month immersive online introductory leadership certificate training fellowship program. This program is organized by IMPRI Center for International Relations and Strategic Studies. To kick things off, let's begin with a concise overview of the program. Following this, Following the success of its previous initiative in diplomacy and foreign policy, IMPRI, through its IMPRI Center for International Relations and Strategic Studies at IMPRI Impact and Policy Research Institute, New Delhi, is pleased to introduce the Diplomacy, Foreign Policy and Geopolitics Youth Fellowship for aspiring leaders in the field. Diplomacy, foreign policy, and geopolitics are foundation to shaping interactions among nations, especially in today's interconnected world. As global power dynamics shift and alliances evolve, an understanding of these concepts is crucial for navigating the complexities of international relations. The fellowship is timely, as India and other nations are facing strategic challenges that call for informed, adaptive leadership. Preparing the next gen to contribute effectively to international discourse and decision making is essential as India continues to strengthen its role on global stage. Through this fellowship, we aim to provide an enriching platform for young scholars, professionals, and enthusiasts to deepen their understanding of global affairs, foreign policy, strategies, and international diplomacy. Over the next 3 months, this program will offer a series of insightful sessions led by distinguished diplomats, policymakers, academicians, and industry experts. As we embark on this journey together, we encourage you to actively participate, share your perspective, and make the most of this learning experience. We look forward to insightful discussion, meaningful exchanges, and transformative fellowship ahead. The chair for the program is Professor Swaran Singh, Professor and Chairperson, Center for International Politics, Organization and Disarmament, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. The co-chair of the program are Professor Sanjulta Bhattacharya, retired professor, International Relations, Jadavpur University, Kolkata, visiting professor IMPRI. Dr. Simi Mehta, CEO and editorial director, IMPRI. This program has an excellent panel of experts who will be sharing their expertise for the duration of this program. Ambassador Shashank, IFS retired, Ambassador Latha Reddy, IFS retired, Ambassador Anil Trigunayat, IFS retired, Major General Dr. P.K. Chakravorty, Dr. Lakshman Behra, Professor Shrikant Kondapalli, Professor Meenal Srivastav, Professor Prabha De, Mr. Don McLean Gill, Professor Sanjukta Bhattacharya, Dr. Parama Sinha Palit. The conveners for the program are Dr. Arjun Kumar and Dr. Simi Mehta. Proceeding further, I heartily welcome to you all to the DFPGYF Diplomacy, Foreign Policy and Geopolitics Youth Fellowship. Here, in this program, we come together with a shared goal of fostering a deeper understanding of global affairs, enhancing diplomatic acumen, and equipping ourselves with the knowledge and skills necessary to navigate and contribute meaningfully to the ever-evolving landscape of international relations. We have also shared the course outline and reading resources via email for your kind reference and perusal. Before we start today's session, I would like to announce the housekeeping rules. It is imperative that you join the meeting on time. There will be a Q&A session after each presentation. Share your questions in the Q&A box and not in the chat box. The question must not be posted as an anonymous attendee. Ensure that your questions are precise. Refrain from making general comments in the question to save time. To commence the fellowship, I would like to invite the chair, Professor Swaran Singh, for the opening remarks.
Thank you, Dipangshi, and my compliments to Arjun and Simi for continuing with this very popular cohort 4 on Diplomacy, Foreign Policy, and Geopolitics Youth Fellowship. It's a pleasure and delight. And as Dipankshi just mentioned, there is a whole list of luminaries, both from the practice of diplomacy and academics of diplomacy. I am myself a professor for diplomacy and disarmament at Jawaharlal Nehru University. And among other things, I am honored to share with you among several youngsters. We are 52 people now with this cohort 4, talking to each other right now, that at some stage we were really honored to have Ambassador Shashank coming and spending some time as visiting professor with School of International Studies. Of course, as you know, he was Foreign Secretary of Government of India at a very, very crucial time in post-independence history. You would remember that the government of Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee was very short-lived, and then the moment it came back, it did a groundbreaking decision on conducting nuclear tests, which created enormous challenges for India's foreign policy. And Ambassador Shashank was the Foreign Secretary heading Ministry of External Affairs at that time. He has had enormous experience both inside the ministry and, of course, having several postings all over the world. Particularly more important ones, I think he was Ambassador of India to Denmark, to South Korea, to Indonesia, to Libya. So you can see the whole span of global experience that Ambassador Shashank brings to the table. Of course, he's focused more specifically in terms of his expertise on issues that are extremely critical in today's global deliberations. Issues of energy, issues of climate change, issues of environment. He has a great expertise in these issues, other than having spent a lifetime in diplomacy. And I think we could not have had a better person to give inaugural lecture to this cohort 4 of diplomacy, foreign policy, and geopolitics. And I am lucky that I am also going to listen with rapt attention. I've heard him several times, and I've always learned several things from his expositions on various issues. And without standing between all of you who are very enthusiastic, I see the number has gone to 55 on my screen now. And I think all of you are eagerly awaiting to listen to Mr. Shashank and his exposition to be the opening lecture for this cohort 4. And I would urge to all of you to not just take notes, but also engage him if there is time to ask questions that you may be more specifically interested in. So I assume all of you are listening to him very carefully, making notes. And then, of course, we'll have a chance to interact, hopefully, within today's evening time. And I look forward to that. And Dipankshi, with your permission, I think I'm going to invite Ambassador Shashank to start his exposition for today evening. And I look forward to listening to it myself. Thank you. And over to you, sir, for your lecture for today evening. And thank you so much for accepting it.
Professor Swaran Singh, thank you very much indeed. Professor Arjun Kumar, thank you. Dr. Simi Mehta. I'm very grateful to all of you to keep me involved with your online activities to involve our youth into the thinking about international affairs. Because in my experience, I have seen that in big countries, normally people are more interested in domestic affairs, not in the external affairs. And it is the smaller countries where everyone, young and old, have to be involved about the international and regional developments, because their own boundaries, the regional boundaries, are not that large. Whereas in our case, in the general, whether media or whether social media, the normal pressure is on the emphasis is on the domestic matters, and they take much more attention. Of course, there's another thing that when you're dealing with the domestic regulations, administrative, constitutional, or parliamentary, you go on the basis of the past precedents, rules and regulations which have been established, and try to keep within those and then build up as much you can, based on the platforms which have been set up by the past leaderships or governments or the various structures of the country. In the foreign affairs, it becomes different. India is a large country, there is no doubt. But then we have very large neighbors also. China is a large country, the largest one. Russia is a very large country. USA not that close, but I think now they are becoming closer. And as we find that they are now thinking more of Asia than Europe right now, immediately, we think that we have to think of the international situation as much as we think about the domestic affairs. And I think this is a new change. When our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji came to become the Prime Minister, he said that, well, he would try to talk on an equal basis with the foreign leaders so that India is not seen as a country to be led, nor as a country to be afraid of, but as one who can be a good partner, and one has to interact with them on an equal basis. What I remember is that I was present at a lecture given by one of your former chancellors of Jawaharlal University, Mr. P.N. Haksar, in Korea. And he told those people, the young students in Korea, that look, here we don't look back on the past and try to build up from that. In foreign policy, geopolitics, we look at the present. Our experience is there, our understanding is there, our studies have been there, but you have to think of the future. So you really are projecting always for the future and seeing, based on your understanding of the international environment, and the thinking of the other countries, other partners or adversaries, as to how much are you going to achieve for yourself and for the other partners that you may have. I think this is why it becomes a very interesting exercise. At the same time, difficult to see, are you succeeding? Are you not succeeding? So we are very happy to see that we have in Dr. Jaishankar, our foreign minister. He comes from a very important background that his father was supposed to be one of the greatest strategic experts in India. So he has that kind of heritage, and at the same time, he has written himself many books on foreign policy, and he has been dealing with these situations in a manner which has brought great amount of respect in international platforms to India. So I think all of you, those who are interacting with us today, would be well advised to go on the basis of whatever is being stated by our present leaders, read up whatever was said earlier by the previous leaders, but then think in terms of that India is no longer the same country which was trying to hide behind the solidarity of the non-aligned movement or the developing countries as Group of 77. We are now trying to become the leader of the global South. We are accepted as an important partner by a country like the United States. And what can be a better endorsement to our leadership that President Trump, who recently became the second time became the president of the US, he said that, well, Mr. Modi is a great negotiator, and therefore he thinks that he's an old friend with whom he can do business. So I think this is something which we have to keep in mind, that it's not the situation where there was during the non-aligned days, we had the two rival blocs, the Western Bloc and the Eastern Bloc, NATO and Warsaw Pact, and then we were trying to build up this some space for the newly developing countries, newly decolonized countries, to see that there's a peaceful atmosphere so that we could bring about our economic and social development in the country and maintain a peaceful atmosphere outside. Now we find that there's a change, complete change, starting from the European countries becoming a theater of war. Initially, the Europeans and the West Americans thought that they would be able to bring down the capabilities of the Russians, because they were treating Russia not as a great power, but as a gas station or oil station and mineral resource station and say, look, how can a country only supplying the basic materials can be considered a great power? So they were trying to use the NATO expansion as close as possible to the Russian frontiers. Now there is a sudden change. So therefore, it's a very, very new development, and all of you will have to keep in mind as to what all is going on and how it will affect other countries in Europe, but also countries in Asia, like India and China. Because the emphasis now from the side of the United States seems to be to bring an end to the conflict in Europe, or to leave it to the Europeans to sort out their own matters. Of course, he has been saying that the European NATO countries, now they should increase their defense budget to 5% of their GDP. Earlier had been asking for 2%. So this will be automatically pushing these countries into that direction. And they are already facing a lot of difficulties internally in Europe. So it's a tough task for them. But for us also, now it's a new situation. Earlier, we could see that, yes, we were leading only the other developing countries as a group to make sure that, well, they have enough space for their partnership among themselves, and also to get whatever technology, etc., support we could get from the developed countries, while maintaining our commitment to cleaner environment, to ensure that pollution control methods are all adopted by us. Now we are in a situation where USA is saying that they would like to concentrate on Asia. China has already started, their Chinese experts have started saying that while in the US they see some kind of a agreement between both Republicans and Democrats that China should be considered as an adversary and the US should formulate its policy. But I think as Trump has become the president, he has made it very, very clear that he would now like to concentrate on Asia. And India would be therefore an important partner for them. But then what does that mean? Does that mean that we then spend all our resources, financial resources, to increase our defense capabilities, defense platforms, which we may not like to use because we have suffered so much in the past in any conflicts from outside or internally. So therefore, we have to keep that in mind, that there are the challenges which we would have to face, that we don't want to get into a direct conflict with China unless Chinese are interested in repeating what they did in Galwan or another border states. But I think lately we find that China is trying to develop normal relations with India. So we should be keeping that in mind, that while we increase our defense capabilities, our strategic options, but at the same time, we don't directly enter into a conflict which is not of our making, not of immediate choice for us. The other thing would be that we have developed over a long period of time, and I remember that I was also involved in that exercise, building close ties with the Southeast Asian countries. We have tried to set up a trilateral highway connectivity via Myanmar to Thailand and then onwards to other Southeast Asian countries. We have also got the maritime linkages with the Southeast Asian countries. We were also members of the East Asia Summit. I mean, these are not easy things at that time, because if you remember that about 30, 40 years ago, even the Australians used to think, they were afraid of the Indian Blue Navy. They were afraid that they always said that their concept of Asia or East Asia does not include India. It all ends up somewhere on the eastern borders of India. So I think from that point, we have come a long way, where Asians are considering us as an important partners. Africans have been taking us as an important partner. We recently included all of them in G20. Now the Americans have started saying that they look at this. So this is not just a statement. I think this is moving beyond the mere statements. And I was quite impressed by President Trump saying that the previous American government was trying to destabilize India, and they had put a lot of money there. He will share all the information with Prime Minister Modi. I'm really totally unsettled, listening to this kind of a statement directly from the president, which means that it's no longer a matter of statements alone, but something more than that. Are we prepared for it domestically? Are we prepared for it? Thinking about it, discussing it in our think tanks, academic circles, in our government departments. We also have to keep in mind that President Trump considers India as the tariff king, that Indian tariffs are very, very high, and they would like, and we have a favorable balance of trade with USA. So while our attention is mostly on defense grounds, we say that, well, we have very adverse balance of trade with China, and we pay China excess money almost equivalent to our defense budget. At the same time, we also have to keep in mind that we have challenges on the other side, like with the United States, where our balance of trade is in our favor. So therefore, these are challenges. Our government departments, I'm quite sure, would be working on this, but I think our think tanks have to think about it, academic circles have to think about it, and the youth in particular, they have to keep in mind that this is what is going on, and based on their own experience and expertise in the AI sector and the semiconductor sector, all kinds of new areas of technology, they should be able to come up with new solutions as and when we move ahead. I think I would like to just stop there at this, giving you just this broad idea, but I would be quite willing to go into more details. We have other challenges. I can perhaps mention that we have a challenge with regard to Iran. We have tried to build up a highway connectivity, trilateral connectivity via Iran to Afghanistan, which has then been extended to Central Asia, Eastern Europe, and to Russia. And this has been helpful to us in getting off some of the mineral resources from Russia via this north-south corridor, eastern wing or western wing. We have been getting it. We have also got this Russia, Vladivostok, Madras sea link. So I think those kind of other links we have created, because there was a time after 1947, we felt completely blocked on the western side with having an adversary in Pakistan. And then on the eastern side, we had the East Pakistan at that time. We also had this difficulty that in Myanmar, the Chinese were increasing their influence, and therefore the Westerners, they wanted to set up a democratic regime, which they were not able to do. And so we were blocked on both sides, East and West. So we have tried to come out of it with great effort. But I think once again, we are facing challenges on both these fronts. So we'll have to keep that in mind as to how do we build up our infrastructure linkages, keeping in mind what are the interests of the major powers and what Chinese are trying to do through their Belt and Road Initiative, and how we are trying to work on this in collaboration with other countries, whether Japan, whether USA or Russia. And Iran will be a challenge, but I'm quite sure that we would be able to give some ideas as to how to keep a peaceful Asia, peaceful South Asian neighborhood. And I'm quite sure that Americans would be willing to listen to us more carefully than in the past. Thank you very much indeed. I'm willing to take the questions at this stage.
Thank you, sir, for your comprehensive and engaging talk with us. I now invite the chair, Professor Swaran Singh, for his remarks. Sir, please.
Would you like to go ahead with your remarks?
Thank you very much, Ambassador Shashank. It was a very, very wonderful, thorough and comprehensive review of the state of India in the international relations and the geopolitics, how it is shaping up. And actually, you know, just as Donald Trump has assumed his presidency, and within the first month, there has been a lot of movement. And in fact, he has been more vigorous in his announcements as well as in the implementation of such announcements as compared to the first term that he was the president. And a lot of it has their implications upon India, the decisions. So the whole issue of the deportation of illegal migrants back to India. I would want to know your views about the whole thing that came up, whether it is as per the laws, as per the international law, how they are being brought into the country in the military aircraft of the United States, with all those handcuffing and all. And when the media reports say that the illegal migrants were deported in a much better manner to Colombia in their own aircraft, etc. But India was not able to secure such an arrangement, and the situation of Indian illegal migrants back to India, immigrants back to India, was not very good. So what are your views on that? And also, sir, as in the closing, you also mentioned about India again faced with challenges in the immediate neighborhood. Pakistan has continued to remain adversarial to say, and also in the eastern side, Bangladesh, with the interim government, not very cooperative. But also again, when we read the reports, as you mentioned, with the whole Soros thing, and trying to influence India's elections, and also the office of the prime minister, and also again Myanmar is also in doldrums itself. So what do you read out of it? How do we see the future unfolding for the country? Sir, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think firstly the US and then our neighborhood. The US has a policy since 2012 that if they find illegal immigrants, and they can then take action against them. And this is the treatment which they give under their own laws to the illegal migrants. It's a pity that while they were initially trying to do it to the illegal migrants from Latin America, and then there was immediate political debate on this issue, those countries were very unhappy on this score, and they sent their own planes to get the people. I think in India's case, it was done very rapidly without India being involved too much, apart from the fact that long time ago, they must have discussed who are the illegal Indians, and the Indians must have confirmed their Indian nationality and their addresses in India, etc. So confirm that they are not really any other foreign national pretending to be Indians. I think now things seem to be changing a little bit. We have Costa Rica and Panama, which have perhaps offered themselves that these illegal Indians can be taken to their countries, can be kept for some time, and then they can be brought in civilian planes to India. So I do not know how this will be working out, but I think this perhaps is a possibility that some of them can be taken to Latin America and then they come here. Another thing which we have to keep in mind that this illegal migration is more particular for Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat. Because if you look at the South Indian states, we don't hear so much about the illegal migrants coming from these states, though their populations in USA are very large. In fact, some of them may be the largest ones. So therefore, there seems to be under the impression that they must go to USA only through the legal means. Somehow, on our side, perhaps the Gujarat, Punjab, and Haryana, people were able to go to America and Canada and other places to work in their farms. And so it was not on the basis of the shortage of the highly skilled manpower, but shortage of the agricultural or other labor that they were looking for people in India. And I think in the 80s onwards, they were able to take many of these people. So I think their relatives perhaps thought that as these people had gone, and the US embassies were very easy in giving visas for agricultural work or other labor work, so they might also be able to become legalized over a period of time. But it doesn't work like that, because in the meantime, it had become a domestic issue. President Trump and the Republicans said that the domestic politicians are trying very hard to fill up in America with illegal migrants, give them American nationality, make them democratic voters, and so much so that they were even saying that, okay, you become postal ballot voters, and for them, no documents would be required. So therefore, I think it was a signal more than to India or to other foreign countries, to signal to their rival within USA. They're saying, look, we will take very strong action. So henceforth, even if Democrats come to power in USA, they should not think in terms of filling up the US with democratic voters from abroad as illegal migrants. So I think this is what I would say. We should really keep on discussing with the Americans, make sure that how best we can bring them, because I don't think Americans are saving any money in using their military aircraft and sending them outside. In some records, they are saying that maybe it is 5 or 6 times than the first class airfare, the money which is being spent. And so suppose at some stage, President Trump said that, okay, you are tariff kings in India, so you pay me all the money which I have paid for your illegals. So what do you do at that stage? That it is a fait accompli, that the money has been spent more than 5 times, what would have been now maybe 10, 15 times, and then you are required to pay for that, or you negotiate with them at that stage. So we should start the negotiation right now as to how best to do this thing. And of course, we should take action against the recruiting agents or the travel agents who have been involved in this exercise, who thought that they could become millionaires at the problems being faced by our poor Indians, who many times are not very knowledgeable about the rules and regulations. It's more sympathetic, just trying to improve their livelihood. Now, about the neighboring countries, what I would say is that, yes, we have, General Rawat used to say that 2.5 time of preparation, that we have 2.5 time of opposition to enemies, Pakistan adversary and China adversary, and half time that they are continuously involved themselves in the domestic scene by terrorism or by using all kinds of other means, fake currency or whatever, to destabilize India from within by sending illegal migrants. You remember at one stage, former President Musharraf of Pakistan said that why send terrorists, send just more people to India. And India is a democracy. After some time, you will find that your own people are able to control the Indian democracy, Indian elections. They will decide who becomes the Prime Minister of India. So why go unnecessarily in this fighting mode, training terrorists and sending them to across POK, etc. So in fact, I tell you, President Musharraf was one of the persons who signed an agreement with India not to allow POK to be used as a territory as a launching pad for the terrorists to come into India. And so he was working on that basis, sincerely. But I think then he himself ran into problems with his own opposition, domestic opposition. Bangladesh, yes, I mean, as you asked, you know that US aid has now been choked off all the funds. So apparently they had so much money, more than the funds given to CIA, that they were sharing it with all and sundry, not knowing who is doing what. And they were not bothered about this. So long as they could say, okay, this is for the good of those people, good of America, good of democracy, it is good. Now I think President Trump has decided, and I think this is the basic difference between the Democrats and Republicans in USA. The Democrats want their values to be carried out in all the democratic countries and all over the world. So they are using this method of social media and colored revolutions or all kinds of social domestic instability to bring about the same kind of American type of political considerations in many of the countries all over the world. They have done that in Central Asia. They did that in Arab countries. And now they have tried to do that they did in Pakistan to some extent, now in Bangladesh. Now that destabilizes us because we have our own way. I think these Europeans or Westerners don't understand that India is a democratic country, that Sheikh Hasina was coming to power on basis of elections. We may not be perfect democracies in the image of the Americans, but at least we are trying to do that. Republicans, on the other hand, they feel that, okay, China is an adversary. Earlier, Russia was an adversary. So Nixon had made peace with the Chinese, one China policy they had adopted. And they had thought that China will become like Taiwan, Singapore, or America itself, and would become a democratic country. It has not become, because Chinese learned a lesson from the Russian example. So they say, okay, we'll open the economy, but keep it under the Communist Party control. The country remains under the control. In the case of India. So therefore, now the Republicans are saying that India should be taken as a country. Other countries should be treated. We should not enter into their own domestic affairs, but request the countries concerned to partner with us and to make sure that the peace which has been maintained since Second World War all over the world with the American efforts is not disturbed too much. So we are not against that. We are only trying to find a better place for India and for the other developing countries which are colonized by the West. And so we want to improve all that thing. And we would like to live in a multi-alignment kind of a atmosphere, but it's not the same multi-alignment which the Europeans are thinking, where they will be ruling the roost as Atlantic powers and NATO extension all over the world in one way or the other. Here we are thinking of completely different things. So we find that perhaps in America, there's a change of policy to some extent. And if I remember from my experience in the past, the Americans at that time under the Republican administrations had been telling us that in future they feel that America, India, and China will be doing a kind of tango. The three countries will become the three most important economic powers. So we should prepare ourselves for this in future. And that stage has now come after 20 years, 25 years. Are we prepared for that or not? That I leave to all of you to decide.
Thank you very much, sir, for your detailed response. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Dipankshi, over to you.
The floor is open for questions from the participants. It is encouraged that the participants join as panelists, turn on camera and ask questions. Please go ahead.
Can I go next?
Yes, yes, please, Immersive, please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. It was an honor listening to you. So my question is about India and China's relation. As you told that China doesn't want, India doesn't want a direct conflict with China at this point, and China is also trying to better the relations. But at the same time, the situation around our neighboring countries, like China trying to do the debt trap thing, string of pearls. So do you really think that China is actually not trying to actually trying to better the relations, because directly or indirectly they are like ruining the relations? That's what I feel.
Okay, thank you, Simran. I don't think Chinese are trying to, I should not speak on behalf of China, but we should try to understand the Chinese viewpoint. They feel that India had the advantage in knowing English language, being with the, as a British colonial colony, and then they were sending Indians all over the world to run the British colonies, their plantations, their economic activities there. And therefore, Chinese felt somewhat left out on that. So they have been working very hard, and they have their own ambition that within 100 years of the Communist Party coming to power in China, they should, by 2049, they should become #1 country in the world. And if you remember, after Second World War, in fact, when Chiang Kai-shek was ruling in China, the Americans had told Chiang Kai-shek that he should take over the whole of Asia and run Asia so that it will be like what G2 was told by Obama to the Chinese Communist Party. In 1945, I think Roosevelt had told the Chinese, Chiang Kai-shek, that it should be a G2 kind of a situation, that Europe, they would have an iron curtain, etc. They would allow after Yalta agreement with the Soviet Union. But in Asia, they would be quite willing to hand over all the old colonies of the West to China. It is Chiang Kai-shek who said, no, I'm losing my own country. So how can I handle all these things? So therefore, we have to keep that in mind, the Chinese ambitions. Secondly, we have to keep in mind that Chinese have always this feeling on a dual sentiment about India. The Buddhists in China treat India as a paradise. They treat paradise of the West. So second one is that under the British, there were 2 opium wars between Britain and China. And all the opium was created in India and then sent to China from India. India suffered because all our Indian agricultural crops were blocked. We were only supposed to grow opium for the Chinese market. So therefore, we suffered. We had famines every 7-8 years. And overall, it is said that 100 million Indians died under the British Empire. On the other hand, the Chinese also ruled because they forced them to eat opium. And the Chinese therefore fought against that. And now they are taking their, there's a reaction to that. They say that, look, we don't owe anything to the West. They only created us as an opium country. Now we'll treat them. So if fentanyl is going to America, so Chinese say that, look, we don't owe it anything. Your people are buying it one way or the other. So I think we have to keep that in mind, that this is a battle between the giants. So let us not go and enter there and say, okay, we are also a mini giant, please beat us also. No, we should try to become a giant. We have another 20, 30 years when we can become like that. Prime Minister Modi wants us to do it by 2047. Then your generation or the even younger generation, then we'll be in a position to see that, all right, we also pick up a fight with the Americans and the Chinese in an equal manner.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Shavik ji, would you like to go next?
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you, sir. I think it's a privilege to be talking to you and interacting with you on subjects of strategic affairs. So thank you for your presence today. Just a couple of questions, sir. One question is an extension of what you have been talking about in the last two questions. I just wanted your view that while we may have hit a really strong note in terms of our relations with the West, maybe in Europe, whether it's France, the United States, of course, we have a strong relation that's growing with Russia and that continues to grow. But then when you talk of the immediate neighborhood, and I'm talking of beyond Pakistan and Bangladesh here, I'm looking at, say, a Bhutan, Sri Lanka, a Maldives, a Myanmar, and some of the other Southeast Asian countries. How do you think our relation stands today with regard to how it was, say, maybe 20 years back? Do you think it has strengthened in an equal degree as the relations with US? Or do you think we are on shaky ground, especially with our relation with some of the smaller neighboring countries, especially because of the growing influence of China, of course? So I just wanted your view on that, that while we have become stronger with the West, are we maybe becoming a little, I won't say weaker, but it's becoming a little tentative with regard to our immediate neighborhood and some of the smaller countries? And second, and second question is, sir, that while we are going gung-ho about our relations with US and we are really upbeat about it, the other reality is also that, of course, our FDIs as percentage of GDPs are shrinking, FIIs are being pulled out. So we are economically, we are facing a tough time with foreign investments. And now with Trump there, do you think it might help improve situation, or it might just deteriorate things with regard to foreign investments because of the economic domestic policies that we've already seen there? So while on paper it looks good, relation looks fantastic, how does it translate into an economic benefit for India is what I was trying to understand from your viewpoint.
Well, the first issue, I would say that in the past we were concentrating on two sides. That is, the National Security Advisor, Mr. Brajesh Mishra, was concentrating on the major powers, China, America, maybe Pakistan as an adversary, and carrying out back channels, dialogues with all of them. So he was the personal representative of the Prime Minister for talks with the Chinese. He was talking to Condoleezza Rice constantly. He was also doing some, Tariq Aziz was the back channel dialogue partner between India and Pakistan. So he was from the Indian side. Now, Foreign Office was handling more the building the relations with the Asian countries, African countries. And we did that very effectively. We had set up many partnerships all over the world. And we had summit level interaction with the ASEAN countries, which ultimately extended up to Northeast Asia, to Australia, New Zealand. And then we had the East Asia Summit. We also reached the stage of the RECP, that we wanted to set up some kind of regional plans. We had bilateral and the inter-regional, some kind of trade agreements with them for free trade areas, and then gradually moving them from commodities even to investments, insurance, or movement of personnel. But I think that was the situation at that time. I think what has happened is that over a period of time, our emphasis was more on building relations with the Americans and the West Europeans. That became much more important as a priority for us. Because what has happened also, we should not just say that it's the government which decided. It is also the pressures which come from external sources. One is that the Chinese, with their deep pockets, moved much more resolutely in Southeast Asia and South Asia. Earlier, we had been telling our immediate neighbors that please don't go too close to China. Otherwise, it will be not us who will be helping you out. It will be the Americans who would come in and help you out against China. But ultimately, they did not listen. I think they thought that the Chinese were giving them good money for their projects, their countries. So Chinese become much more important partners for them than India. Our policy was that we have people-centric development partnerships, that they decide what partnership they want and we'll give them money. Chinese wanted to give on the basis of their priorities as to what they wanted, whether in Asia or Africa or anywhere else, resources or debt liabilities among these countries. So that is the thing. So now the emphasis has been on the major countries in the world. So this has, to some extent, our neighbors might have felt a bit neglected. Like RECP, we pulled out because we thought that it will really help China much more than us. Whereas under the previous understanding, which we had 20 years ago, our thinking was that we should all work together. So we should talk along with the other Asian countries who are also under pressure from the Chinese. And we build up together a common position for peace, stability, and good partnership with China. So there's a good behavior expected of the Chinese as a nation neighbor. So that was his thinking. So I think, again, we'll have to go into that direction and convey the same feelings to the Americans. I think the second question, what was this one? Just tell me, and then I must end up also now. I have to leave the session now. So unless it's very important, I think we can just leave it and you can then discuss with Professor Swaran Singh.
That could be done, sir. No problem. I mean, I'll not hold you up.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed. So I must sign off now because I have another meeting coming up at 7 o'clock. So therefore, I thank you all very much for participating in the talk today, taking such active part, asking the questions and making me also more, let's say, thoughtful about what all is going on. I hope it will help me in clearing my own ideas also. Thank you.
Dipankshi, please go ahead.
Okay. Moving on, I would like to invite Chair Professor Swaran Singh, Professor and Chairperson, Center for International Politics, Organization and Disarmament, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, for the Chair's remark and address on emergent global order and India's foreign policy trajectory. Please, sir, go ahead.
Swaran sir, are you able to hear us?
Yes.
Oh.
I had just stepped aside for 30 seconds, so I think I missed if something was being said. I hope
no, sir, just being invited to share your remarks and then we'll go on to the questions.
You mean the lecture by Ambassador Shashank is continuing with us still?
No, sir, he just left. He answered
Okay.
we took a few questions and then it's your turn now.
Okay, so you want me to take on from
yes,
here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think the first important thing for us as a team at IMPRI to give the best shot in making sure all of you have some takeaways, see that your expectations are fulfilled, is for us to know as to what are your anticipations, what are your expectations. And in that sense, the first thing I will request is if as many of you can switch on your video so that I can see you as we have this conversation, is to make a very quick, short introduction. And then you could, when you introduce yourself, do tell us what background you come from. Somebody maybe coming from political science, other maybe coming from history, somebody from engineering, psychology, and geography, and so on. So that will give us a good idea of what is the spectrum of your background. And in our then lectures and presentations, we'll keep that in mind, that all of you should feel connected with what is being discussed. Some of you may have also had working experience, so you could share with us if you're already engaged and employed in a think tank or in any other positions that you may hold. And that will also be helpful in then, bringing you into the discussion, and you will also share your own perspectives with all of us. So that is going to make this cohort 4 as interesting experience for you as well as for us. So in that sense, I think it's a good idea that we should know who are the people and what are their expectations from this course that we are doing. So if we could just begin, I see on my screen, Heer Shah is with us. She's in my screen on the top of my screen. So maybe I could start with Heer Shah. You could tell us your background and what is your expectation, and then we'll keep that in mind in our lectures and discussions. Yes, Heer, you could unmute.
Yes, sir. I am a first year BA political science student.
Okay.
I'm looking forward to pursue the civil services in foreign service, and I'm looking forward to having a broader perspective on our current foreign relations with other countries.
You're planning to appear this prelims this year?
No, sir. I'm a first year student in
Oh,
college.
you are not yet eligible in that sense. So, but it's a good start. You're starting early on that track, and I'm sure you will be almost edging to write your exam when the time comes.
Yes.
Good to know that. I think this course is going to be fairly helpful to you in getting a good idea about so many issues on the table concerning diplomacy, foreign policy, geopolitics. And I will encourage all of you, not just today, but in all lectures, engage your speakers so that you get answers to questions that you have in mind. Otherwise, the speakers are, most of them, very senior. They could go on talking for days and days. And you may be just listening the monologue without really enjoying or learning from it. So engage all the speakers, ask questions that you may have some confusions, or comments. So thank you, Heat, for that intervention. I see Simran as the next person on my screen. Maybe different screens are showing different people. So why not, Simran, you could unmute and tell us about your expectations and your background.
Good evening, sir. My name is Simi and I'm from Gujarat. So I have done my BA in Political Science and History part majors, and right now I'm pursuing a Masters in International Relation.
Okay.
The reason to take up this course was I'm already doing international relations, but I needed a broader perspective on diplomacy and how do geopolitics works, like how the dynamics are working around. That is the reason I joined the course.
Excellent. Simran, may I know where are you doing your Masters in International Relations?
I'm doing it from Gujarat University itself.
Okay, Gujarat
School of-
Central University.
Yes.
Okay. We have lots of our JNU. I am old man now, so many of my students are professors in IR there. Arun Vishwanathan is there, and of course your dean. What is his name? He just uses the one name. He doesn't use surname. Anyway, I'll remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, good to know that you're already doing Masters in International Relations. So we look forward to your comments as well. Next person on my screen is Khushi. So why not you could also share with us?
And okay.
Yes.
Yes. Can you listen to me now?
Yes.
Yes. So myself, Khushi Sunar, and I am pursuing second year law in Savitribai Phule University, Pune. Also, it's an honor talking to you, and I'm very excited because I am looking forward for civil service exams as an IFS officer, as well as pursuing my further career in international law.
Excellent. So we have international law, international relations, and we have two people here and Khushi, aspirants for Indian Foreign Service. We need lots of very smart people in foreign service. As you see, we are growing as a country. We need to engage almost everyone. You see, Indian Prime Minister going to Guyana, talking to all the Caribbean leaders, going to Southwest Pacific, to Papua New Guinea, talking to all the regional leaders, then also talking to great powers like Trump and Putin, being part of middle powers, BRICS, Quad, CEO, or SCO, so on. So I think we'll need a lot of very smart people in foreign service. The next person is Niranjan on my screen. So Niranjan, welcome to the program and share us your background and your anticipations.
Thank you, sir. My name is Niranjan Men. I'm currently a fourth-year Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering student.
Oh, good.
I'm in Dubai right now, Bits Pilani, Dubai. And yeah, so the main reason that I decided to join this course was I would like to gain some insight as to what happens in geopolitics. And I would also like to gain some more information to help me prepare for UPSC IFS.
Excellent, Niranjan. Thank you. We'll have some technical inputs from you, I suppose, when we are having several lectures, because technology is the driver of all social change, including international relations. And we are currently really in deep seek after ChatGPT. And I think all of you are getting a grip on how technology is revolutionary and transformative locomotive in our lives on everyday basis. I look forward, I hope we will cover some of the technology issues as well. You could always raise questions or make comments also. When I go to Kolkata, sometimes my name is pronounced as Shoron Singh. So I see that there is a Suborno, which is closer to my name in when I go to Calcutta. So Suborno, why don't you share with us?
Sure. Good evening, sir. So I'm Suborno Chakraborty. At present, recently, actually, I completed my master's in public policy from IIT Delhi.
Okay.
And master's in cognitive science from Center for Behavior and Cognitive Science, Allahabad, and a bachelor's in physics from Delhi University. So I had quite a mishmash and interdisciplinary background, and that somehow shows my interest. I'm kind of initiating myself into this thing, geopolitics and all these things. My basic interest, I would say, is linked with science, technology, and geopolitics. That how science and geopolitics and all these things are, like interacting with each other, and how these things are working all together. So I'm taking my first baby step, I would say, into diplomacy and geopolitics. So I'm looking forward towards this thing, sir.
You have taken several gigantic steps beforehand, and now you're going to take baby steps into geopolitics. I'm happy to see you have interest in connecting geopolitics to science and technology. I also teach a course at Jawaharlal Nehru University on science, technology, and national security. So maybe some of those issues will come up in our discussions later.
And
thank you.
One more thing I would like to share, sir.
Yes.
I would say the interest actually catapulted like anything last year. I went to Bangladesh. I was teaching at Asian University for Women, Chittagong.
Okay.
And I was actually in the middle of the internet outage and the political turmoil over there. So that somehow pushed me to think more about this thing, right? And
excellent. So maybe when we discuss Bangladesh, we'll have some of your inputs in that. Excellent.
Sure.
And the next person on my screen is, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Jude Amala. Is that how your name is pronounced?
Good evening, sir. My name is Jude Amala. And
thank you.
I'm from Chennai. I'm doing my bachelor's in law from Army Law College, Pune, affiliated to Savitribai Phule University. Okay. I really aspire to become a diplomat, and I hope this course will get me closer to my dream of becoming a diplomat.
I'm really delighted to see that more youngsters are taking interest in Indian foreign service. And that's a good sign, I think, that then you have a good assessment of where this country is going. Kaustuv is the next on my screen. So Kaustuv, why don't you share with us your background and your expectations? Yes.
Good evening, sir. Myself, Kaustuv Tripathi. I have done my bachelor's in economics honors from Banaras Hindu University, and I am a final year student of MA Political Science from Indira Gandhi National Open University. I wish to pursue my research in international relations, and joining this program was a conscious decision to have a more contemporary exposure to geopolitics and foreign policy in order to have better intellectual tools at my disposal as for my further career in research.
Excellent, very nice. I'm sure we will have some interesting takeaways for all of you, given your own trajectories where you want to go from here. Shivam is next on my screen. So Shivam, why don't you share with us your background and your expectations?
Am I audible?
Yes, indeed.
Hello, good evening, sir. My name is Shivam, and I'm from Uttarakhand. I'm a first-year international relations major student at Ashoka University. And what sparked my interest in IR is basically I participated in a couple of MUNs when I was in grade 11 and 12. So those experiences pushed me more to pursue a bachelor's in this. And studying, historical events like Cold War, World War One, and the kind of events that took place in that time, was really fascinating, and I really wanted to learn more about this. And what I expect from this course is to learn more and more about India and China and the politics of South Asia, because that is something that is really intriguing me at this point. And India stands on global governance. So, yeah.
Excellent. We'll try to keep in mind your interests. And does Dr. Ananya Sharma teach you there?
Yes, and currently I'm also doing a course under her, that is Theory of International Relations.
Excellent, excellent. So she's a former student from my
Yes.
center. Good to have you with us. And Shruti Jain is on my screen, next person. So Shruti, let's hear from you.
Greetings of the day to sir and everyone. I'm Shruti Jain. I'm from Agra. Right now, I'm pursuing my PhD in political science from Modi University, Sikar, Rajasthan. And my current research area is on governance and leadership in contemporary India, and basically inspirations what we can take from Indian knowledge systems and ancient past. So my interest in this course was to basically explore how the leaders take decisions in the international sphere, how relations they manage with other countries. So this was my inspiration for this course.
Very interesting, because of in this whole revolution in information and transport technologies, the idea of summit diplomacy has become a very forceful and regular idea. So national leaders are meeting very regularly. And therefore, I think a lot of diplomacy now happens at the level of national leaders themselves. Mona Lisa Acharya is next on my screen. My screen boxes are also shuffling. So in case I repeat any name, just do correct me. Mona Lisa, why don't you unmute and tell us?
Good evening, sir. Sir, myself Mona Lisa Acharya. Currently, I am pursuing my MBA in Rural Management at KIET University. And sir, my interest area was public policy. Somehow, I have chosen public policy due to my various background. I have done my bachelor's in geology honors and prepared for civil services 2 years. After that, joined ICPS program. Previously, I have completed my course under parliamentary diplomacy. There, some senior fellow suggested me to join the youth fellowship under IMPRI. You can go in the public sector. And sir, my expectation is to join the policy sector after my masters in the Niti Aayog sector. I want to join as an advisor.
Excellent. I think that you are being very innovative as to how you can make your contributions. But is geology part of optionals in civil services?
No, sir, I have chosen sociology in my optional.
Okay, so you chose sociology in that case. Okay, thank you. Welcome to the program. Aditya Sista is the next on my screen. And yeah, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. This is Aditya. I've done my project in Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Currently preparing for civil services examination. I'm going to give this attempt this year. So after reading for the civil services examination, I came to know that the world is not that small as we think. So to get deep dive and get the information which we do really need for international relations, for example, these national relations as well as the markets which going to decide our future, the way we do speak, the way the technology which we acquire, everything is interlinked. So the amount of knowledge which I'm going to gain over here, like the conflicts present over there in the Myanmar, China, Sri Lanka, whatnot, the 7 different nations are against us. So we need to go in such a way that the point should be so accurate and so deep into the, so to get those points perfectly done and to write my mains answer writing well, I'm into it. So Thank you.
Excellent, excellent. So we have to just be careful. 7 nations obviously are not against us. I'm sure you just happened to say that. But I see that you have both deep and wide interests in issues that we are going to be debating. And as I said, we look forward to some of your comments or suggestions or questions are most welcome. Pranav is the next person on my screen. Please go ahead. Yes, I can hear you. Are you using a wired microphone? Maybe you want to try without that wired microphone and just speak to the gadget. Am I audible now? Yes, Pranav. Yes, a little bit, not very clear. Maybe the internet issue sometime.
Yeah. Hi, this is Pranav here.
Yes.
I am from Bangalore, Karnataka, and I am currently working as project assistant in the Department of Energy, Government of Karnataka. And I am a master's in public policy from the University of Bangalore. Yeah.
Pranav, we'll come back to you in a couple of minutes. I think some of us are not able to hear you very clearly as of now. I'm sure we will have your connection. It sometimes fluctuates. Don't worry about it. Sanya Shah is the next one on my screen. So Sanya, unmute and tell us about yourself.
Hello, actually, yeah, so I did my undergrad in biotech and then my master's in biotech and pharma management from UCL. Currently, I'm in Mumbai, and I got the opportunity to work under a social scientist, and a lot of my review projects and my systematic review had a lot of like elements of policy involved and global policies as well. So that's where my interest into policy came into being. And I also had the opportunity, I joined this course specifically to understand geopolitics a little better and also foreign policies a little better, because in the future I aim to work in public health, and I think these aspects are very important in this sense.
Excellent. Public health is becoming a very, very exploding area in that sense, because
actually I want to work on the nexus of nature and public health and environment and public health. So because my review was also microplastics, so I feel like I need a little more knowledge about this space.
I'm impressed, Sanya, with your very clear mind where you want to go. A very specific niche area where you want to develop.
Actually, I did do a lot of jumping around. I was a healthcare consultant. I did work as a student healthcare consultant, and now I've just shifted to this because I like it more.
No, healthcare.
OECD read my review, which was a part of my thesis. So that kind of gave me more confidence that, okay, I'm in the right space.
Absolutely. When a country starts emerging as an economic power, the extra fat or extra money goes into education, entertainment, healthcare, and so on, and tourism. So healthcare is really becoming a very, very interesting area in this country. And it's not just becoming a surgeon. There are so many other things that one can do. And I'm happy you have kind of calibrated your niche area where you want to contribute. Urvi Shinde is next on my screen. And so please share with us what you think.
Hi, namaste, sir. I'm currently a year 11 in Australia, Adelaide. And I think Indian politics, Indian geopolitics are very inspiring to me. And to be honest, I am looking to pursue international relations and political science here in Australia and possibly work as an Australian Foreign Service officer. So that's
excellent.
Yes.
Welcome to joining this program from Adelaide. I've been there a few times. It's a beautiful small city. I usually go to University of Adelaide. They have a research center on Indo-Pacific studies. They were the first one to start. And Priya Chako is my dear friend, if you know her there.
I haven't started
Anyway, that may not be your center. Anyway, but most welcome to choose to join. I hope your timings are not too odd. This must be early
It's
afternoon
okay.
for you.
Oh, it's 11 p.m.
Oh, yeah, you are ahead of us. Yes. Sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's going to be 11 p.m. and midnight
Yeah.
by the time we
That's
end here. Yeah, thank you, and we look forward to
Thank you
also
so
hearing
much.
from you.
Thank you.
Akshat is next on my screen. So Akshat, why don't you tell us about your background and
Myself, Akshat Mehrotra. I am a second-year student and currently pursuing history honors from Delhi University. Side by side, I am preparing for civil service examination and looking for Indian administrative services. But recently, I had some conferences and meetings with ambassadors and diplomats, so I just generated my interest in international relations and diplomacy. So I just joined this course. And on coming 25th, I'm grateful that I will be meeting the Chinese ambassador to India to strengthen our relations for both the countries.
wow, you're already working as a quasi-diplomat.
Yes, sir. I also met the UAE ambassador to India recently.
Okay. UAE is the third largest trading partner
For our trade relations only.
and second largest for exports from India to any foreign country.
Now we'll be looking for Chinese relations and all.
Do ask, all of you should ask questions so that you get clarifications to whatever doubts you may have in any field. So don't shy away from asking questions. You will have Akshat, several ambassadors and senior IFS officials also speaking on this platform, other than a lot of academics and think tankers as well. Ayana is the next person on my screen. I hope I pronounce your name correctly, Ayana.
Ayana, sir, it's nearly correct. Good evening, sir. I'm Ayana Prakash. I'm from New Delhi. I'm currently giving my 10th boards, which is a little... as a school student, though, I believe that we're all citizens of a global world and that it's important for us to understand how the world works to live in such a society. Mostly, the aim of me joining the course was to properly understand international relations, geopolitics, and understand a more formal and a broader perspective on diplomacy as a concept. I am aiming possibly towards becoming an IFS officer. And like someone had said, MUNs have really fueled my personal interest. So I am really excited to be a part of this conference.
Thank you, Ayana Prakash, for showing interest at such early age. I think I'm not sure if we will have anyone younger than you in the cohort 4. So looking forward, you said you're in the 10th class right now. You're still 2 years to go in school.
Yes.
But nice to see you're starting early and looking forward to you asking some really curious questions from various speakers. Mohammad Asif is next on my screen. If I could ask him to share his background and expectations from us.
Good evening, sir. My name is Mohammad Asif and I'm from Lucknow. I have recently pursued my master's from Jamia Millia Islamia in the field of peace and conflict resolution.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to pursue PhD in this field. So this fellowship will be crucial for me to gain knowledge from the experts to enhance my skills and broaden my understanding on global policy challenges for India.
Excellent. I'm sure you were taught by Professor Reshmi Kazi there.
Yes, she taught me.
Yeah, I'm honored to say that I'm her PhD supervisor and she's been an excellent student.
She is now transferred to
political science. Yes, I understand that. So, Niranjan, did we ask you to speak before? Or Niranjan?
Yes, sir, you did.
You already shared your inputs with us?
Yes.
Because now these windows keep shuffling. And Smiti, you are the next then on my screen. So why don't you share with us your thoughts?
So, a very good evening, sir, and greetings to one and all present here. So, my name is Smiti Iyer. Currently, I'm pursuing my Master's in International Studies from Symbiose School of International Studies, Pune. I did my Bachelor's in Political Science from Janki Devi Memorial College at Delhi University. So, the reason for me applying to this fellowship as well as pursuing the course of International Studies is because I have a huge interest in the field of international relations as well as international studies. And joining this fellowship would help me in gaining the broader perspective or better nuance on the aspect of geopolitics. And as everyone, like most of you have mentioned that MUNs have gained the better insights, or like they have gained a lot of experience. The same thing goes for me as well. And about my current situation, I have also participated in various conferences and I've gave presentations based on that, and also also like submitted my papers and presented on them as well. So recently I had my presentation at Amity University in the conference Vijigishwa 24, where I had co-authored with one of my fellow classmates, and we won the Best Presenters Award, as well as I've also gave my presentation on the International Academic Forum on the Korean Conference of Arts and Humanities. And recently I went to Christ University as a part of as a finalist basically to present my paper on the conference of Young Diplomat 24, the Young Diplomat 25, I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm looking forward to attend this fellowship in the consecutive years.
Excellent. I think you are a good example. I had heard that Symbiosis Pune is very active in, giving exposure to students, and I'm sure you're one of the good students from there. And you also have several retired IFS officers, ambassadors on your
Yes,
faculty.
yes.
So you, in any case, are already exposed. Let's try if Pranav can now try his microphone, if we can hear him before we go to others.
Yeah, am I audible?
Excellent. Now we can hear you clear.
Cool. So, hi, thank you for this opportunity. My name is Pranav and I am from Bangalore, Karnataka. I am currently working as a project assistant at the Energy Department, Government of Karnataka. And I have a master's in public policy from Jain University. And the reason why I'm here is because I basically am a political analyst. I had worked for a major national party for the Lok Sabha elections, so which actually piqued my interest to go global, if I have to put it in that way. The same thing as Mr. Chakravarti also mentioned earlier. So even I'm taking some baby steps in this way. So hoping to get a lot of insights from all of you scholars. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pranav, for choosing to be part of cohort 4. I'm really happy to see that many of you come from diverse backgrounds of having done work, or someone who's starting, from 10th standard. It's going to be very interesting collective group of diverse people trying to come together, and I think we will have a good discussion. And Priyanshu Agrawal is next on my screen to ask him to unmute and share his thoughts.
Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, indeed.
Yes, sir. I am currently a PhD student at the Center for Russian and Central Asian Studies, School of International Studies. So I would love to meet you someday personally in JNU. Basically, I joined this course to gain a more holistic understanding of what's happening in international relations, because since I am a part of area studies program and I am a second year student, so it's generally I'm reading about Russia, post-Soviet states. So in general, to gain a more deeper understanding of what's happening in different parts of the world and what's the different aspects of international relations, I've joined this course. And in the future, I want to build a career in the academic field. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Nice to have you, Priyanshu. And in case we have sudden, crisis situation of a speaker not being able to join, we'll ask you to take over.
Definitely, sir. It would be an honor for me. Thank you so much, sir.
It's a pleasure to have you with us. I'm happy to see that you are here with us. If I'm pronouncing the name right, then Aishi Bhanja is the next on my screen. Please share your thoughts.
Evening, everyone. My name is Uishi. I did my graduation in history and then went on to do my master's in social work. At this point, I am a Gandhi Fellow under Cavell Education Foundation or the Pyramid Foundation. I'm about to complete my fellowship this June. I do look forward to doing a PhD, and while I was in a very doubtful situation, what would be my PhD topic, I somehow have come to the conclusion here that all of the impact assessments or the impact measurement impact measurement tools of development, those we have, like the development index, the world happiness index, are very, although they've come from people of South Asia, but they are very westernized. The concept is very westernized, and even if we have countries ranking high up in the happiness index or the development index, we see a very gendered, biased gender outlook there. We see domestic violence cases, we see rape cases increasing in all of those countries as well who are ranking high there. So I have previously been part of IMPRI's other lectures at the Public Policy Qualitative Action Research Fieldwork. And Professor Vibhuti Patel has been she is a role model for me. And she was the one who suggested that understand the geopolitics, understand the relationships of between nations, so that you come up with why was the global South so as to what we refer to as of this South Asian culture of South Asia has never been portrayed into the development indexes. So I look forward to understanding the relationships, and then perhaps pursuing a PhD in a topic where gradually I could build up a team and come up with a ethnic or a very South Asian based development index where the culture and the gender perspectives and the very unique perspectives of each nation is being catered to, and we have a very so as to say we have a more accurate development index for India and the world as well.
Excellent. I'm happy. I'm surprised every time. Every one of you is coming up with very interesting ideas, and I understand that even HDI is mostly based on, indices selected by mostly Western countries. And if you allow me 30 seconds, and fundamentally the flaw that or challenge that we are facing in education is because the British, until the British came, Indian or South Asian or subcontinental education systems were largely scholar driven. Whether you go to Takshashila or you go to Nalanda, which continued to have sort of more interactive, interdisciplinary, scholar-led arrangements of large-size universities. And by the 10th, 11th, 12th century, when they kind of dissipated, we moved into more Gurukul style system of personal attention with the individual teachers. That continued for about 3, 4, 5 centuries, which was very interesting again because it was holistic education under one scholar to a very limited number of students. Then it was followed by a lot of foreigners coming into India, ultimately a huge Mughal empire coming, Persian influence coming, and then patronage of royalty got into our education system. Of course, even during that period, a clear distinction was made between what was secular education and what was religious education. But royal patronage was introduced at that time. And then the biggest change happened when the Europeans came, the British came to control this country. And Macaulay's 1835 minutes or speech in British Parliament, introducing a knowledge system, education system, which not just marginalized, virtually removed Indian traditions and wanted to create completely European, British traditions of education in the country. Fundamental difference also was that till that time, all education was holistic, transdisciplinary, personalized, inclusive, sustainable, and created leaders in all fields, from trade to commerce to art to science to politics to administration. British education, on complete reverse, was based in creating a class of subordinates who could implement the vision of the imperial power. And therefore, you see large number of leaders of independent India in the beginning, whether it is in trade or administration, commerce, art and aesthetics, education or politics and administration, were educated in European countries, because that is where the training for leadership was still allowed in multiple sectors. And since then, yes, in all our education disciplines, there's an enormous influence of European way of thinking, or European scholarship, or North American scholarship, which, geopolitics and foreign policy is inclusive in that the knowledge systems continue to be largely alien to India in that sense. And that is why you see now in recent decades, particularly now, the University Grants Commission is focusing much more on encouraging indigenous Indian knowledge systems into the field of education. So your effort to contribute in that direction, to focusing on Indian pedagogy, Indian traditions, Indian philosophy, or subcontinental methodologies, etc. I think is an interesting area. You are able to look ahead where education is going in this country or where it wants to go in that sense. And let me move to next one. Sorry, I spoke a little longer in response to that. Pratiksha Singh is the next one on my screen. These windows keep jumping up and down. I think Pratiksha is still with us. Yes, Pratiksha, please.
Good evening, sir. Currently, I'm pursuing my MBA from IIM Raipur. I'm a second year student, and while pursuing my MBA, I got certain interest towards the public policy. So I wanted to explore more career options in this field, and hence I wanted to have a more holistic knowledge of the geopolitics other than the business point of view. So hence I joined this program, and I'm looking forward to learn.
Thank you, Pratiksha. We look forward to again interacting with you and listening to your comments or questions. Shambhavi Sharma is the next one on my screen. So please, why don't you share your thoughts also?
Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, thank you. So, sir, I'm joining in from Chandigarh in North India. I've done my bachelor's in political science and history from Kamla Nehru College, Delhi University. And there I genuinely enjoyed this elective international relations and then conflict and peace building. So I went on to pursue my master's in development studies, which is kind of a niche subject, I would say. It covers a lot of aspects, which is why I again decided to go back to what I was enjoying. I interned at the Ministry of Women and Child Development, where I understood the concept of public policy and its impact on ground. I've also worked with UNDP as a UNV for development of content for the SDG Knowledge Hub, and then with UVS, which is an Indian NGO working with UNEP and UNCCD. So, sir, basically from everything I've studied and worked till now, I've realized that having a holistic understanding of foreign policy would genuinely help me in a career related to the United Nations. So, I'm not here with any major expectations. I'm just here to learn from you, just like a nursery student going to school on the first day. And thank you very much for attending this session and addressing all of us.
No, it's a pleasure. And I'm sure you're being very modest when you mention of you as a nursery student after a whole range of experiences that you have already gathered yourself. And we look forward to, as I said, your questions, comments, interventions, and so on. Aditya Saraf is the next one on my screen. Aditya, why don't you share your thoughts?
Good evening, sir. My name is Aditya Sharath. I'm a first-year undergraduate student at NMIMS University in Mumbai, currently pursuing BA Honours Liberal Arts. The reason why I joined this course was to further explore my interest in international relations and to connect with people with a similar interest.
Thank you. Let's move to Vikramaditya Srivastava is with me. So please unmute yourself.
Good evening, sir. So my name is Vikramaditya Srivastava and I'm from Dehradun. So, sir, I am pursuing a Master's in International Relations, Security and Strategy from Opajindal Global University. So now I'm in my final year and I will be graduating out of this program in September. And simultaneously, I've been upskilling myself in the in the emerging technologies. So cybersecurity, generative AI. So I'm basically interested in the intersection of traditional realms of IR with these emerging technologies, because I believe going forward, IR will not be the same. I mean, we are talking about, already we're hearing about cyber diplomacy and such other things. So I'm basically working towards that. And going forward, I would like to contribute in the field of global security. And my intent for joining this program was to, take a deeper dive into geopolitics and also to hone my research skills.
Absolutely. I'm in fact impressed that so many of you are very clear in terms of your thought process. And you have earned a lot of experience already at such young age, which is very interesting and very encouraging in that sense to see that youngsters are very clear about the trajectories they want to pursue. And indeed, I agree with you. Technology is transforming the way we conduct international relations, we conceptualize international relations. And, all the actors and issues are getting increasingly molded by a whole lot of modern technologies. Even when, as you mentioned, the conventional security issues continue to be on the table. For example, terrorism continues to be there, but we are also talking of hypersonic missiles, we are talking of stealth technologies, we are talking of cyber technologies, and so on. So welcome, and looking forward to having more interaction with all of you. Tarangini Kumar is next on my screen. So Tarangini, why don't you share your thoughts?
Sure. Hi, good evening, Professor Swaran. I am Tarangini from Mumbai. I have an MBA in marketing and BTech in electronics, and I've been working in the corporate space in the media, predominantly in the media sector for the last 7 to 8 years across entertainment, films, and sports. Presently, I'm working in the Indian news with the focus on social media and the digital platforms. On the job, my interest for international affairs and the India US relations initiated quite organically. And I'm here with this fellowship looking for exposure in policy, IR, and geopolitics. Of course, I have no prior background, but I'm here to initiate myself into the space with a lens on global media.
Thank you, Tarangini. I think the whole area that you come from is very integral part of soft power in international relations. And in that sense, I'm sure you will have your strong contributions to make in follow-up discussions here. And we look forward to that kind of experience. Kaustubh Tripathi is, I think, did we speak to you beforehand already?
Yes, sir, we have spoken.
Okay. Then I'll go to Mannat Bedi. She's on my screen. Mannat, why don't you share your thoughts?
Hi, sir. I'm from Jamnabai Nursing School in Mumbai, and I'm studying humanities with economics. I hope to pursue politics, philosophy, economics. That's PPE. And I am really, really interested in politics, diplomacy, and foreign policy. So when I saw this fellowship, I saw the three aspects of it, and all three of them interested me equally. So it perfectly aligns with both my, career goals and as well as my interest. So I feel like this is a great opportunity for me to learn more about my interests.
Thank you so much. I think your institution has just opened a chapter in Punjab University, Chandigarh for last 1 or 2 years. I was yesterday in Chandigarh, Punjab University. I was told you have a law school there also. And it's a prestigious institution. So most welcome to this program. We look forward to your contributions. Soumya Krishna is next one on my screen. So Soumya, unmute yourself and tell us what you think.
Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, indeed you are.
Okay, sure, sir. So, sir, I'm Soumya Krishna. I completed my master's from Nalanda International University in historical studies with a major in international relations history of India. And while doing my master's, my eventual supervisor in the dissertation, Dr. Rajiv Chaturvedi, suggested that I should work with him on a policy brief for RIS. So my journey and my interest for international relations began from that moment. So I worked on the policy brief, and that sort of ignited my thoughts and everything that I had in my mind, and I had a lot of questions. So that motivated me to just keep in touch with what was going on in these fields, like these fellowships, internships, and everything. Basically, my whole perspective and my whole idea behind joining the fellowship revolves around exploring the non conventional areas of people to people connections, which exist on a daily basis. We operate on those, but we don't recognize them because they are just so hidden and they are so under the radar. So, my whole idea. I was asked to send a research proposal because I applied for the scholarship for this program. So even that revolved around exploring those aspects of diplomacy because I feel at the end of the day, it's the people who are most impacted by any diplomatic decision or any diplomatic treaty or any of the sort. So my whole idea revolves around that people to people connections, but in a way which is very non-conventional. So exploring areas like cinema, exploring areas like music, exploring areas like fashion. So that those are like some of the headings which I explore in my research. And regarding the career perspective, I would like to basically inculcate both my knowledge of history and international relations into pursuing a PhD. So thank you, sir.
Excellent. We are always happy to see people who have more questions. So I'm happy you said you have several questions in your mind. And that is what will generate the synergies here in the group. So it's not just people who will come and speak to you. Of course, they come with great expertise of their own. But each one of you will bring very interesting, diverse perspectives and will make you think differently. When you listen to other participants making comment or saying something. Let me go next to Dakshita Sharma. She's on my screen next. So please unmute yourself and share your thoughts.
Good evening, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, indeed you are.
I'm Dakshita Sharma and I'm from Jammu. Currently, I am pursuing BA Political Science Honours from Janki Devi Memorial College, University of Delhi. And it's glad to see you again. If you remember, we hosted you under Center for International Programs in our college only.
Indeed.
And yeah, you might be knowing Mr. Dinesh Bharat also and Mr. Rohit Kumar Singh.
Yes. And Kush Kumar Gaisan, who's my PhD.
Yes, sir. He has taught me. So we have currently this paper called Global Politics in our fourth semester, and Dr. Karnika Jain is teaching us. She's also from JNU.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, so I give like most of the credit to her only. That increased my interest in this subject. So one time she was teaching us about 9/11 attacks and the Guantanamo Bay detention camp and the atrocities happening there. So it really interested me to do more research on it. So I got to know about this fellowship and I wanted to know the basics and everything. So I'm just taking my baby steps and I'm hoping to learn a lot about this field. So that's
Excellent. Welcome. As far as my screen is concerned, I think I have acknowledged everybody's presence and I've invited each one of you to say something. I see 49 people with us here on my
Priyanka is
screen.
making a note. So Priyanka, if anyone is left, can you identify?
So let them volunteer themselves. I think if anyone has not been able to, participate in this.
Yes.
I'm so sorry, I won't be able to open my camera. My tablet does not give me the option.
No problem. What is your name, please?
I'm Shri Gupta.
Please go ahead, Shri Gupta, and share your thoughts with us about your background and what is your expectations from this course.
Good evening, sir. I'm a first-year student at National Law University, Punjab. I've recently started gaining more interest in the diplomacy and foreign policy. And so I started reading more and newspapers and more books about the topic. And one problem that I faced was that I did not know how to read in the observations that I was making. So, for example, yes, North Korean forces are in the Kursk region, and yes, that influences Russian and Indian relationships. But after that, I used to get stuck as to where does that lead or what does that mean for us. So that is why I'm here. I want to see how strategists and ambassadors think and how do they make connections.
Excellent. I noticed that some of you, perhaps for various technical reasons, are not able to open your videos. I'll come to you. I'm looking at the messages, but before that, I have two people on my screen already who have not spoken. So Ishtiva Anand is the first one who I'm asking to unmute and speak, and then I'll go to the others.
Good evening, sir, and good evening to everyone. Sir, myself Ishitva Anand, and I have completed my graduation in the field of geography from Kirodimal College, Delhi University, the past year. And sir, I got interested into this field, sir, because of the particular subset of geopolitics that we study, or the political geography, and the various theorists like Alfred Thayer Mahan and his theory regarding the power of navy. So, sir, that interested me. And I also, sir, I came across a novel that was Tim Marshall's Prisoners of Geography. So there were some pertaining questions that he had asked in that novel. And sir, that gave me motivation to delve further into this topic. And sir, I've also completed diploma in Geopolitics and International Relations from Indian Institute of Governance and Leadership. And sir, this course shall help me to develop my knowledge and my repertoire in this field because I wish to pursue as a diplomat in Indian Foreign Services. And sir, I had given the UPSC mains last year, but could not clear it, attempting this year also. So hopefully we'll sail through and will serve the nation in a better way. Thank you, sir.
Excellent, excellent. Make sure that during various lectures, if any chance comes, you bring up your questions about Mackinder or Spikeman, or you mentioned of Alfred Mahan. We will discuss some of those issues. I'm sure they will come up on somewhere. They'll come up. Let me request Barsha Jose. If I
Hello.
pronounce your name correctly, share your thoughts.
Yes, sir. I'm Varsha. I'm actually doing global studies,
Yes, we can hear
master's
you,
in
though.
global
They can't hear
studies.
you.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Uh,
Please continue.
yeah, I'm actually pursuing master's in global studies. Right now, I'm doing my exchange semester in JNU for this one semester. My previous background is in political science. I'm really interested into looking into how migrants and the Indian diaspora, the role they play in our diplomacy and foreign policy. So that's my interest area.
Excellent. I think everyone now notices increasing role of Indian diaspora in foreign policy. And it is very interesting that first time in history it happens that India's prime minister goes to a foreign country and large number of people are there to welcome him, chanting his name. This has not happened to any leader in history so far. This is the first of its kind. And in that sense, engaging Indian diaspora goes back to Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who had started this Pravasi Bharatiya Divas celebrations, connecting with the people of Indian origin, people who are Indian citizens abroad, and treating them as assets and ambassadors of India. I'm happy that you have interest in that. Sakshi Tikmani is the next one. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. Please share your thoughts.
Good evening, everyone. So I have done my undergraduate in business administration and I've done my master's in public administration. So obviously, since it's public administration, it was all about India and the Indian Constitution. But I did my dissertation in IR on the Israeli-Palestinian war. So that is what gave me a path towards IR, emerged my interest towards IR, and now I'm an all-time PhD aspirant. I'm preparing for an entrance as well, NET, and I am hoping to pursue my PhD somewhere in the field of Russia, maybe. And yeah, and one of the reasons why I joined this course is to learn something more about international relations, because that was just a specific topic in my public administration and not something specialized. So yeah, this was my reason of joining. Thank you.
Thanks to the way President Trump is engaged in Russian leadership today. President Joe Biden had tried to center stage. I am looking at various messages, and Khushi, I'll come to you because I'll give you a second chance once the people have had their first chance to speak. So let me go. I can see among the messages here, Anand Harikrishnan, if you can hear me, you can unmute yourself and speak. I hope your mic will work if your video is not working. Anand, can you hear me? Let me then invite Bipra Arora, if you are able to hear me and you are able to use your mic. As you said, you cannot, be added to the panel. Or let me ask Rama. Rama,
Yes, sir. Hello. Good evening.
Yes, please go ahead.
My name is Rama and I'm from Mumbai. I'm a second year student. I'm studying BSc Economics and I plan to take up public policy and perhaps public administration as a subject for my master's. Currently, pursuing a degree in economics, I would want to know how I could align the subjects that the course offers with my master's subjects. That's the reason I'm here. Looking forward to interact with all of you.
Excellent. You remember Clinton campaign had made it very popular, the expression, it's economics stupid. And today we say it's technology stupid. We are all focusing on tech billionaires or techpreneurs, and they are becoming the movers and shakers. And let me call now the next person, Avneet Kaur. If you can hear us, you can unmute and share your thoughts. Avneet, can you hear me? Yeah.
Sir, am I audible to you?
Yes, you are audible.
Hello, sir. I am Avneet Kaur from New Delhi. I am currently working as a project associate in CSIR Traditional Knowledge Digital Library.
Okay.
And my background is I have done my master's in natural resource management. As a environment science student, geopolitics and diplomacy intrigued my interest uh, to make both environment and our diplomacy, how they work together in this era of climate change and global warming. So this course might helpful to make me understand more.
Yes, indeed. In fact, diplomacy is shaping, molding, influencing environment, and environment is shaping, molding, influencing diplomacy. So that has become an umbilical cord between two domains. And there is an increasing interface of both of these. I'm sure this will come up in some discussion. But let me go to Antara Gupta. If she can hear me, please unmute yourself and share your thoughts. Antara, can you hear me?
Hello, sir.
Yes. Yes, we can
Sorry,
hear
sir,
you.
I'm having some network troubles, so that's why I was not able to switch on my video.
No problem. We can hear you.
So I'm a first-year master's student at Mumbai University. I'm pursuing international relations and strategic studies. I did my bachelor's in political science from Delhi University. And I just wanted to join this course because I've always been interested in international relations, and this has always been my career path, and I want to work in research. I think it was while volunteering at the Sagar Manthan in New Delhi that I realized that I'm really interested in researching about the Indo-Pacific. And I think today's lecture was a lot about the dynamics between India, China, and US that I'm very interested in meeting all my expectations. There's no such expectations.
Thank you. That's interesting. That I hope we'll be able to, create some interest that you will have expectations also. And I'm sure some of these curiosities might emerge as we go along with this program in coming days and weeks. Shakib Ahmed, if I saw you briefly on my screen, but if you're, yes, please go ahead. Unmute yourself and then tell us.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. I'm Shakib Ahmed. Currently, I'm pursuing economics honors at Shriram College of Commerce, University of Delhi, and I'm in my final year. And honestly speaking, I'm from Bangladesh. So as the recent development actually happened in Bangladesh, June, July movement. So what is the take on of that and the South Asian context, the geopolitics, it's shaping and the trade relations of both the country, not just about South Asia, and the overall view of the world's perspective on it. And increasingly economic tools are being used as a geopolitical weapons. So this means trade policies, sanctions, and investment strategies are being deployed so achieve that strategic goal. So as a student from economics, I do have certain interest on political economy and international relations, and as my roots are from there, so what's the mixed strategies could be, or what's the take on that? So basically this is also my first schooling step for me, so I'm looking for it to understand.
Excellent. Nice to have Shakib, you with us. Of course, several issues of, we are talking of weaponization of currencies, for example.
Yeah.
That is an interesting area. We are We used to hear about politicization, then securitization, now weaponization. I can see one more person on my screen. Smriti Iyer, did we ask you before? I think we spoke
Yes,
to you.
sir.
We spoke to
Yes,
you.
sir.
We spoke to you. Let me go to Vipra, I think was another person who was requesting to speak.
Good evening, sir. I am Vipra Arora. I
Yes.
am in my second year BA Global Affairs at OP Jindal Global University. My main area of interest is like security studies, but like regionally also I am more interested in the area, the Europe, Russia region, like the entire uh, entirety of Europe and like Russia. So my expectations as such are just I'm in my bachelor's, so like it's more about absorbing all the knowledge that I can. I am sort of narrowing down to like more learning more towards security studies as well, but that does not mean I have to leave everything else. And I also like to notice the kind of interaction that happens between security studies and things like diplomacy and all of that. So yeah.
Thank you, Vipra. There is no younger, older in education. Sometimes young people come up with brilliant ideas. So we look forward to having you with us and looking forward to some of your comments and questions that you may have with us. I think we have now Rama Shakhalkar. Rama Shakhalkar is also one person who perhaps couldn't open her video. If you can open your audio, you're most welcome to now share with us your thoughts.
So we are already done, I suppose.
Oh, okay, Ramash. Yeah, I'm just checking if anyone is left. Otherwise, we will go to Khushi Sonar. Now we can give you a second chance. You wanted to say something more, so please go ahead.
Sir, sorry to interrupt. We have two new ones. Shovik Banerjee is left and Abhishek Mishra.
So let's go to these two first. Abhishek Mishra, you go first.
Yes, hello. My name is Abhishek Mishra, and I'm from Mumbai. And I've done my bachelor's in history honors, and I've also done my master's in political science from IMPRI in this December. So just appearing for UGC NET, and I have my research areas in Indo-Pacific, which I think is the most challenging point of view for India to tackle many of the issues in IRB. Yeah, so that was yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Abhishek. We look forward to having more interaction with you. I'm happy to see there are several of you from Mumbai and from different disciplines, of course. Who was the one more person?
Myself,
Dipankshi?
sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Shovik, yes, please.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening. I'm Shovik Banerjee. I'm based out of Bangalore, sir. A little background about myself. I have been in the corporate sector for nearly 14, 15 years now.
Okay.
I've been working as a supply chain practitioner in industries like aerospace, defense, now moving into consulting for the last 3, 4 years. In terms of my education, I have a bachelor's in technology. I have a master's in business administration. Last 2 years, I've of course developed this interest, and that's why I'm here. I think last 2, 3 years, I've kind of tried to diverge a few things because of my interest. I'm a voracious reader, so just out of reading, I developed more and more interest over what's happening with geopolitics and the overall climate globally. So I completed my diploma in foreign international relations and world affairs from IIGL, International Institute of Governance and Leadership. That was the first step. And now all I'm trying to do, in fact, I've started a master's a little late in my career in my life, but I've started a master's in political science in online mode from Sikkim, Manipal. That's a journey I've started in the last 2, 3 months. And now I want to get increasingly attached with think tanks like IMPRI. That is one example, and hopefully see if I could take a plunge into the academic side of things. I'm parallelly looking to develop a career in research, develop a career in academics, but towards the line of politics, geopolitics, world affairs, strategic studies. That is my interest in after having spent 14 years in doing what I was doing. So I'm trying to build a second innings now, and hopefully.
Yes. No, you will bring a lot of good expertise into our discussions. And the whole disruption of supply chains has been a very mainstream issue in international relations, particularly post-pandemic, when we realized that overcapacity of China was creating overdependence for even the developed world. And they are now focusing on friendshoring and onshoring and so on. So I'm sure we'll get some inputs from your practical experience on the ground as to how these things work. I'm also happy to see that you said you are a voracious reader. That I think is a challenge that I as a teacher often face. I'm trying to encourage students to read books because there's so much appears on your phone screens itself, which is also very interesting. That most of you get so many interesting things on your phone screens to read that the chance to pick up a book sometimes is pushed aside, even when you have a book with you on bedside or on your table, and because phone is sort of swarming us with so much interesting material to read. And that I'm told 70% of reading today in urban centers is happening on phone, not even tablet and laptops. So in that sense, we are moving in a very different world. I hope the books will survive, and we are also moving to e-books in that sense. So Dipankshi, have we anyone still who I have not asked as yet?
I don't think so.
So then let's
Everyone has
ask
spoken.
Khushi to make her intervention.
Good evening, sir. Sorry that I asked you to, introduce myself once again because there are a lot of things I actually left out while saying because I was the third person to, talk about and everyone then talked about themselves. I was very, pushed up to talk about myself too because, yeah. So I'd like to share about why I have a particular interest in international relations and international law because a few years ago I was a resident in Ireland. uh, my father had a job over there and we moved with my whole family, and that was when my interest in international relations and people basically people and how the things around us work, the diplomacy of the between countries and all increased, which is why I'm also, as I mentioned earlier, I'm also an aspirant for the Indian Foreign Services. But that is what I want to, and also there is some things I really want to work on as soon as possible, as much as I can, because I've seen the things on ground level. I believe not too much, obviously. There is very little experience I have right now, and I want to learn a lot more about it. But when one of my friend here mentioned Indian diaspora and all, so I can kind of relate to things like that, and I can I really want to work for women, and all my essays and the research papers are about what women are facing around the world and all, because that's what my basic interests lie in. So I am really hoping that whatever my interests are, the large number of interests like languages, even I am an aspirant, like I'm learning Japanese, I can speak Korean as well, and my mother herself is a German. My mother herself is a German professor. So like, I am very interested in things all over the world and people all over the world. So I am hoping to gain more and more insights and more and more knowledge of what all can be done and what are the ideologies of the countries, how they are working actually on the ground levels. And also, I'm very excited for the course. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Nice to know, Khushi, that you have lived your life in nitty-gritties of diplomacy, and you from there still wants to emerge as an IFS officer. So nice to have you with us. Time for today's session is already over, but I'll let you go.
Sir, there are, sorry to interrupt, sir. Sir,
Yes, Simi.
Yes, there are two more participants, sir, who are left to introduce themselves.
Please, we will definitely like to hear them first.
Avantika, and then Siddharth, you could go next.
Yes, Avantika and Siddharth, please let us know what you think.
Hi, Professor. I'm Avantika. I'm a political journalist by profession, and that too in the national domain. and also an anchor and a reporter. And alongside, I'm currently pursuing a public policy course from IIM Calcutta. So, majorly have done work around the national politics and governance and a little bit around policy. But I got interested in geopolitics, started making videos around geopolitics sometimes in November last year. And then I realized there are a lot of gaps which I have in my knowledge. And this course found me at the perfect time, and I enrolled for this just to, bridge those gaps, be more, probably have more in-depth knowledge about the concepts and the terms which have a back link to the history of geopolitics.
Thank you, Avantika. You said you became aware of so many gaps. That is a
Yeah.
very, very good sign of being a budding young scholar. Give me 20 seconds to share with you, and some of you may be knowing that Socrates, the greatest philosopher of Greece, was a fairly irritating man who will use dialectics in terms of using your argument to twist it and confuse you with your own version of that argument itself. So the elite of Greece became very, very upset with him, and they went to god of Adelphi to ask who should be called the wisest man of Greece. And god of Adelphi said Socrates. So they were all very shocked. They were all very aristocratic, civilized people. So they were coming back looking for Socrates. And when they found him, they asked him why it is that god of Adelphi says you are the wisest in Greece. And Socrates said, all I know is that I know nothing. So, that's a good first step towards getting more knowledge. So welcome to you. And Abhishek was the last person, perhaps, who, Siddharth.
Good evening, Professor.
Good evening.
I recently graduated with specializations in history and environmental science.
Okay.
And my major research interests are in area studies, economics, and environmental studies with a focus on power negotiations across history. And it was these disciplines that motivated me to take up international relations, as that allowed me to take an interdisciplinary focus to understanding the modern age. And I'm currently trying to build my understanding in this area. One, as volunteering with a think tank as a researcher and designer. And I hope to gain more insights in this field through this fellowship by tapping into the rich experiential base that this program offers.
Excellent. I noticed that you mentioned research and design, which is a very interesting take again. I see that we are already 4 minutes beyond our given time, but I hope Simi will allow me another 2 minutes because I just want to quickly ask you, tell me in 30 seconds when I ask you define diplomacy, foreign policy, geopolitics. And whosoever takes the mic first will be saying 30 seconds of defining what in your judgment, because then we will see at end of the program whether your understanding has changed and how much has it changed. So let me raise the question. Tell me in 30 seconds what for you is diplomacy and who wants to go first?
Sir, I'll go if that's okay.
Yes, Shobik.
So diplomacy for me is negotiation. Diplomacy for me is consensus building. That's probably in 15 seconds, that's what I can say.
Excellent. You saved our 15 seconds. So Shobik will not be now speaking when I ask other two questions because he's already spoken. So who will tell me in 30 seconds what is foreign policy for you?
So
Can I? Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So for me, foreign policy is how a nation decides to conduct themselves in the global world order, and what policies and what actions will the nation take. It's basically a rule book of how the nation would like to present itself on the world stage.
Good. So let's go to the third last question. What is geopolitics and who's going to tell us in 30 seconds?
Sir, can I?
Yep. Yes, please go ahead.
Geopolitics for me is like the interrelationship between geography and the politics between countries, how the countries and their ideologies and their geographical things change within, change the political parts of the country, like foreign policy, and that are very interrelated.
Excellent. Very good definition. But we will also study gradually how connotations and conceptualization of both politics and geography keep changing. And therefore, so is their interface. We'll go there later, but let me hand it back to Dr. Simi Grewal to make closing remarks. And I think today's session we will close here.
Sir, can I say the definition of geopolitics once again?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Simi, we can allow this.
Sir, according to my point of view, geopolitics refers to recently said by our Honorable Prime Minister that the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam policy, that one earth, one family, one future. We are seeing all the nations in the whole world interconnected with each other.
Excellent. The connectivity part is also important in geopolitics. Yes, I think we can now let Simi close today's discussion.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Professor Swaran Singh, for being so open to listening from all our participants, their background and their expectations from this fellowship program. And I would also like to thank Ambassador Shashank. He also gave a very insightful opening lecture and it was the best way to kickstart the whole program. So wonderfully begun. And also welcome to all the participants. We are certainly going to have a wonderful learning experience together. And as all of us now know, with the introduction of all the participants, that we have a whole wide canvas of backgrounds and experiences, and all of us can together, enrich the whole learning experience. So I am really grateful and delighted to welcome all of you, and I look forward to learning from the esteemed panelists and also the participants there. So we really want that all of you should be ready with your questions and ask interesting questions, because no question is a stupid question. That's what I've been taught by Professor Swaran Singh in classes that I took from him in JNU. So thank you so much, and good night to all. Thank you.
Good night to all of you, and see you in follow-up sessions. And I'm sure this will be a very interesting cohort for us.
Yeah.
Have a nice evening, all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Dipangshi, I think we can go ahead with the formal vote of thanks.
As we come to the end of the day one of Diplomacy, Foreign Policy and Geopolitics Youth Fellowship, an online international winter and spring school program, a 3-month immersive online introductory leadership certificate training fellowship program, I, Dipangshi, researcher at IMPRI, Impact and Policy Research Institute, would like to promote the formal vote of thanks on behalf of IMPRI, Center for International Relations and Strategic, New Delhi. We are grateful to our expert for the day one session, Ambassador Shashank and Professor Swaran Singh, for taking their valuable time and for their thought-provoking insights on the topics. We thank the chair, Professor Swaran Singh, and co-chairs, Professor Sanjulta Bhattacharya and Dr. Simi Mehta, for convening the session. We thank all our participants who have raised pertinent questions and actively participated in today's deliberation. Readings for the sessions have been shared in your email, and a video of the session will also be shared with you for learning. We look forward for welcoming you on the second day of this certification course on 27 Feb 2025 at 6 p.m. We are grateful if you are watching us later on YouTube or listening to us on our various podcasts or reading our publications. We hope you continue to join us in future IMPRI Web Policy Talk and Web Policy Learning events. Wishing you a good night. Thank you.